All right, welcome back. We are continuing our architectural breakdown of the Wise Woman Code.
We are.
And if you've been with us for the last few sessions, you know we aren't just reading a book. We're essentially trying to reverse engineer a manual for the nervous system.
Exactly. We're looking at the mechanics of it,
Uh-huh.
how to move from a reactive state to, a state of high functioning alignment.
And today feels like a real pivot point.
It is. If you look at the progression Michelle Rice has laid out, there's this very specific logic to it. You can't just skip ahead.
No, it really is a build. We've spent the last 3 sessions laying that groundwork. I think it's worth a quick recap just so we know where we are.
Good idea.
Okay, so chapter 1 was stillness. That was all about stripping away the noise to find, simple awareness. Then we moved to chapter 2, breath, which was learning how to physically regulate the system when it gets overheated.
And then most recently, chapter 3, which is visualization.
Visualization, which established direction. It gave the mind a target.
So we have awareness, regulation, and direction. That's the triad we've built so far.
But today, we hit chapter 4. Speak kindly to yourself. And I have to be honest.
Go on.
When I first saw that title, my skeptic alarm just went off. It sounds soft.
A lot of people have that reaction.
It's like something you'd see on a pillow, Just be kind to yourself. But reading the chapter, it is so clear she isn't talking about being nice.
No, and that's the trap. People hear speak kindly and they immediately think it means indulgence or letting yourself off the hook, lowering the standard.
Right.
But Rice is talking about something much more clinical. She's talking about reinforcement. If chapter 3 was the image you hold in your mind, this chapter is the operating system that runs underneath it.
The phrase that just jumped out at me right at the beginning of the chapter was this. The voice within becomes the authority that shapes identity.
That's the core premise.
That's a heavy concept.
Yeah.
It's saying the voice in my head isn't just commentary, it's the boss.
It is the boss. And think about it architecturally. You can have the clearest visualization of where you want to go. That's chapter 3.
Okay.
You can see yourself being calm, effective, wise. But if your internal narration, that voice running 24/7, is constantly contradicting that image,
It all falls apart.
the visualization collapses. You cannot hold a mental image of success while you're running an internal dialogue of failure. The nervous system just won't allow it.
So why is that? Is it just like cognitive dissonance? Why does the voice always seem to win over the image?
It's a conflict of command. The brain, it values consistency above almost anything else. So if the visual signal says, I am capable, but the audio signal, your own thoughts, says, you are a fraud, you're going to mess this up.
The brain has to pick one.
It has to choose one reality to act on, and language usually wins, because language is how we categorize threat. It's our safety code.
Okay, let's get into the why of this, because I think a lot of us, myself included, really struggle with the idea of stopping the negative self-talk.
It's a very common sticking point.
Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks I need that internal drill sergeant. If I'm not yelling at myself, won't I just get lazy? Don't I need that harshness to keep my standards high?
That is the single biggest objection to this work. We've been taught to conflate kindness with low standards. We think, if I don't beat myself up, I'll just stop moving.
Exactly.
But Rice breaks this down neurologically, not sentimentally. That drill sergeant approach, it actually degrades your performance over time.
How, though? Because it feels like it works in the moment. It gets me moving. If I scream at myself to get off the couch, I get off the couch.
It gets you moving through fear. It uses the adrenaline pathway. When you speak to yourself with that kind of harshness, you're activating the brain's threat response.
I'm basically attacking myself.
Your amygdala, the part of your brain that scans for danger, it doesn't know the difference between an external threat and an internal one. So when you say, you idiot, why did you do that? Your body enters a state of fight or flight.
So I am literally attacking myself.
Physiologically, yes. You're releasing cortisol. And here's the cost. When your brain detects a threat, it reroutes resources. It pulls energy away from your prefrontal cortex.
The thinking part of the brain.
The part you need for logic, creativity, problem solving. It pushes all that energy towards survival. So by yelling at yourself to do better, you are neurologically making yourself less capable of doing the task well.
That explains so much. It explains why when I'm in a spiral beating myself up for one mistake, I immediately make 3 more. I feel clumsy, I forget things.
Precisely. You're putting noise into the signal. The manual draws this critical distinction, and I think it's the key to the whole chapter.
Okay.
The difference between correction and contempt.
Break that down for us, because I think I blur those lines all the time.
Correction is data. It's alignment, it sounds like. Okay, I missed that deadline. Next time I need to start 2 days earlier. It's useful information.
Right, it's objective.
Contempt is character assassination. Contempt sounds like, I missed the deadline because I'm lazy and I ruin everything.
Oof. Yeah. The second one hits different.
Because contempt creates shame, correction creates change. That's the core difference. Kindness, in this context, isn't about being soft. It's about stable correction.
It's the difference between abusing a machine that malfunctioned and just recalibrating it.
Exactly. If my car breaks down, kicking the tires and screaming at it doesn't fix anything.
No.
You pop the hood, you find the problem, you fix the wire, that's correction. You abuse the machine, it breaks further. You recalibrate it, it runs.
And Rice argues the wise woman we're trying to build is efficient. She doesn't waste energy on shame.
Because shame is metabolically expensive. It burns fuel that could be used for the solution.
So this all ties back to what we said earlier about the collapse of direction.
Right.
If my Chapter 3 visualization is a woman who's grounded, but my Chapter 4 monologue is frantic and mean.
You're sending mixed signals.
Yeah.
You're creating signal interference. The direction collapses because the reinforcement isn't there to hold it up.
So the tool she gives us for this reinforcement is affirmation. And again, I'm going to push back a little. I have a very complicated relationship with that word.
I understand.
It makes me think of looking in the mirror and saying, I'm a millionaire when I can't pay my rent. It feels like fantasy or just denial.
And if you use it that way, it is fantasy. That's what people call toxic positivity, and this manual is completely against that.
So what's the difference?
We have to look at her specific framework. In this text, an affirmation is not a wish. It is not a denial of reality. You aren't pretending a problem doesn't exist.
What is it?
She defines it as a deliberate, stabilizing instruction. Think of it less like a magic spell and more like a line of code you're putting into a computer.
A command code.
Yes. It's a tool to align your language with the visual image you made in Chapter 3. If you visualize yourself as steady, the affirmation is the verbal reinforcement of that steadiness. It overrides the old, automatic negative programming
The loop from the past.
with the conscious, chosen instruction for the present.
So instead of, I am the most beautiful person in the world, which my brain just rejects as a lie, it's more functional.
Much more functional. If the old code is, I always mess this up, the new code isn't, I am perfect. The new code might be something like, I am learning to be steady in difficulty.
See, I can get behind that. That feels true.
And that's the test. It has to feel true and directive. It reinforces the identity of someone who grows, not someone who's just fixed in failure. It becomes an anchor. It stops the drift.
I want to connect this to the body, because Rice puts so much emphasis on the physical side of things.
It's never just in your head.
That's the great illusion,
Yeah.
right? So how does self-talk actually physically affect us?
It alters the breath pattern almost instantly.
I can feel that. As soon as I start that you messed up loop, my breath gets really shallow. It moves right up into my chest.
Which completely counters what you practiced in Chapter 2. You can't do that deep diaphragmatic breathing while you're mentally attacking yourself. The body perceives an attack and it tightens.
Your shoulders go up, your jaw locks.
Your stomach clenches. You're armoring up against yourself.
It's so profound when you think about it. The body is bracing for a blow that's coming from the mind.
And this starts the chain reaction. Rice outlines, language influences physiology. Physiology influences behavior. And behavior reinforces identity.
Okay, let's walk through that with an example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I have a big presentation at work and I'm nervous.
Perfect. Let's trace the negative path first. Scenario A. You start with negative language. You say to yourself, I can't handle this. They're going to see right through me.
Okay, step 1, language. I am a fraud.
Immediately, step 2, physiology. Your cortisol spikes, heart rate increases, your vision literally narrows. That's a biological threat response. You lose peripheral awareness, your breath is shallow.
So I'm jittery, I'm sweating,
Yeah.
and I literally can't see the big picture. Now, step 3, behavior.
Because you're in a stress state, you react. You don't respond. You might stumble over your words or get defensive if someone asks a question. You rush through it just to get it over with.
And the last step, identity.
You walk out of that room, you look at your stumbling behavior, and you say, see, I knew I wasn't good enough. The identity of the imposter is solidified. You proved your own negative hypothesis right.
Wow. And it all started with just that one sentence.
Correct. Now, let's intervene at the language level using Chapter 4. You feel the nerves, but instead of that loop, you use a command code. You say, I am prepared, and I can take this one slide at a time.
One slide at a time. That feels so much more manageable.
The language signals safety. So physiology, your breath drops, your shoulders lower, you stay connected to your prefrontal cortex.
Behavior.
You speak slower, you make eye contact. You can answer questions thoughtfully because your brain is actually online.
And then identity.
You walk out and you think, I handled that with poise. You reinforce the identity of the wise woman.
It isn't magic. It's just biology. It's self-command.
It's the shift from being a victim of your thoughts to being the author of them.
This leads right into the idea of inner authority. The manual talks about the inner voice becoming a stabilizing presence. This really resonated with me because I think so many of us are addicted to external validation.
We're trained for it. We're always looking for the good job sticker from someone else.
For sure. If the boss says we're good, we feel safe. If we get the likes, we feel worthy.
But that makes your stability entirely conditional. It's outsourced.
Exactly. So if you're dependent on external praise, you'll collapse under external criticism. Or even worse, under silence. What happens when nobody says anything?
That's usually when I panic. I just assume silence means disapproval. I start projecting all my own insecurities onto it.
And that's where this practice becomes essential. When the external world is chaotic or critical or just silent, the internal voice has to be the counterbalance.
It has to provide the stability the environment isn't.
So if I'm misunderstood, or if I'm working in a vacuum, the internal voice says, what?
It says, I know my intent. I am doing the work. I am safe with myself.
I am safe with myself. That's such a powerful anchor.
It reduces the volatility. You're not waiting for permission to feel okay. You're granting it to yourself. And Rice emphasizes, this is critical. This authority is strengthened through repetition.
Right. This isn't a one-and-done thing where I say it once and I'm cured.
No. You can't undo 30 years of negative programming with one nice thought on a Tuesday. It takes what she calls repetition of corrective phrases.
You're building a new neural pathway.
Think of it like a trail in the woods. The old negative path is a highway because you've walked it every single day. The new path is overgrown. You have to walk it over and over to clear the way.
So let's get practical. How do we clear that path? Chapter 4 gives us the wise woman practices. It's a 4-step sequence.
It is. And notice how it uses everything we've already learned. It synthesizes the previous work.
Okay, so step 1 is identify.
You have to catch the recurring negative phrase. This is chapter 1, awareness. You can't change what you don't see. You have to hear the script. Is it, I'm too slow? I'm a fraud. You have to name it.
For me, I realized recently I have a script that just says, you are behind. Constantly. Even when I'm ahead of schedule, the voice says, you should have done more by now.
Yeah.
It creates this low-level panic.
A classic scarcity script. It keeps the nervous system revving. So once you identify it, you move to step 2. Pause and breathe.
And this is chapter 2, coming right back in.
Specifically, one slow diaphragmatic breath. You have to interrupt the physiological reaction before you can change the thought. The breath breaks the momentum of the stress response.
So, catch the thought, stop, breathe.
Then, step 3, replace. You insert the steady corrective affirmation immediately. You don't argue with the old thought. You don't debate it. You just overwrite it.
So for my you are behind script, I shouldn't argue back and say, no, I'm not?
No, because that just keeps you in the conflict. You just deploy the new code. For you are behind, the replacement might be, I am exactly where I need to be and I move at a steady pace.
And finally, step 4.
Repetition. You repeat that new phrase, not just once. You repeat it until you feel your nervous system actually accept it. Until your shoulders drop, until the new language feels familiar.
The manual has a great line here. Keep standards high, but remove the contempt. That feels like the golden rule for this chapter.
It is. You're not saying it doesn't matter if I work. You're saying I will work better without the whip. Repetition reshapes identity. Language conditions expectation.
It's a discipline. It's a drill. It's not something you feel. It's something you do.
That's a crucial distinction. You don't wait to feel positive to say the affirmation. You say the affirmation to change how you feel.
This brings us to the reflection moment. For chapter 4, the prompt is, what sentence do I repeat internally that weakens me? And what affirmation can replace it?
It asks for radical honesty. You have to identify the specific code that's weakening your system.
Well, I shared mine, the you are behind script, and honestly, just identifying it, it took some of its power away. It made me realize, oh, that's just a recording. It's not actually reality.
That is the power of observation. The moment you look at the thought, you are no longer in the thought.
And if I apply the replacement, I move at a steady pace, It just changes the whole texture of my day.
It changes the output. The first sentence creates panic, which leads to mistakes and burnout. The second one creates traction. You go from a threat response to a mastery response.
It seems so small, just changing one sentence, but the impact is massive.
It's the rudder that steers the ship. A tiny shift in the rudder leads to a completely different destination over time.
We're coming to the end, but we can't close Chapter 4 without the affirmation from the manual. This feels like the anchor for everything we just discussed.
It is, and I would ask everyone listening, just let this land. Don't just hear the words. Treat them as an instruction for your own mind. I speak to myself with clarity, steadiness, and respect.
Respect. That's the word that just lingers for me.
It's the game changer. We often treat ourselves with a level of disrespect we would never, ever tolerate from a friend, or even a stranger. The wise woman treats herself with the same respect she would offer a guest in her home.
It's a fundamental shift in the relationship with yourself, not just thinking positive, but actually parenting yourself properly.
Being the adult in the room of your own mind.
Exactly.
Well, we've built the foundation. Stillness, breath, direction, and now reinforcement through language. But the journey isn't over.
No. Now that the system is regulated, the direction is set, and the operating system is patched, we have to deal with the clutter.
So next time we move to Chapter 5, Clear Your Mind, we're going to talk about how to actually sweep out the mental debris so this new voice has room to echo.
It is the necessary next step. You can't have a clear voice in a cluttered room.
Thank you for walking through this with us. For everyone listening, just keep practicing that replacement. Catch the thought. Breathe. Replace. We'll see you in the next chapter.